Often when I see buzz around what new anime will be the hot picks of the season, I typically, from a bird's eye view, know exactly what I'm getting into. I usually recognize whether it'll be for me and most likely what the series will truly aim to be. But I'll be the first to admit that I'm not always perfect with my assessments from time to time, like with Dr. Stone, as I got my initial predictions wrong and immediately came out to love this series as much as the masses were hyping it up. As at the end of the day, Dr. Stone is an absolute blast to follow, and in terms of settings, it's second to none with originality in the anime world. Now many will say it takes until a specific moment for Dr. Stone to truly get interesting, but from episode 1 onwards I was, well, foaming at the mouth needing my next dose of Dr. Stone greatness. The core idea to the show is interesting just to think about. The world unexpectedly turns to stone and all humans are frozen in hell until thousands of years later, and a few people wake up and it's up to them to rebuild Earth back to where it once was from the Stone Age. You start off with a brainy guy and a less than Einstein character with a heart of gold. How isn't that fantastic? But where I truly got caught off guard the most was with the character writing across the board, not just with a good character here or there like you typically expect. As I personally thought the loudmouth Taiju would annoy me with his outbursts based on the trailers not actually doing his character justice, but I found myself latching onto his outlandish persona early on and how gentle his heart truly was, especially seen by how often he would stick up for his friend Senkyu and how Senkyu would always do the same for him. I expected the lead man and brilliant mind Senkyu to be more of a cold and collected mind who would be the brain of Pinky and the Brain, meaning that he would abuse those less intelligent than himself during the journey to rebuild Earth and free the common folk. Yet what I witnessed quite quickly, and especially during the second core, is how he just loves science so much that pretty much everything that he does is only a benefit to the people around him. He cares for people as a whole and wants to help them even if they may be experiments from time to time. But the most shocking element was how he never fit the mold that I laid out for him so early on. Instead, he got me to follow his words every step of the way, believing that he always knew what he was doing despite lying on more than one occasion, just to make sure those around him were never worried as his mind raced to find the solution to the problem at hand. I truly feel as if Dr. Stone is the embodiment of fun, and with every episode I witness I love this journey even more, and very early on I thought to myself, this is good enough for this story. But the bar, it continuously had to be raised, else it would have been a failure in the author's mind. The core selling point is definitely the progression of civilization, which at the start is fairly basic, but still impressive advancements from living arrangements and tools that we all take for granted. But as the series ramps up and Senku gains even more items needed for his next creation, it's kind of one of the most exhilarating feelings in recent anime memory. Everything he does makes sense and has logic to back his invention. The only things you might raise an eyebrow at is how Senku has this perfect memory that either he has read about something and how he can create it, or he just naturally comes up with a solution to overcome the next hurdle in humanity's revival. But it's never an issue, as naturally you would think given our own world there probably is a young mind with an eidetic memory, who has read everything there is to know, that with basic human curiosity probably could do what Senku does due to an unrivaled IQ. The difference is that finding said person is probably impossible in the real world, but that's where the brilliance of storytelling comes into play. You can make that unique person the main character of an anime. Though I do need to mention how thankful I am that they never go too deep into the petrification or how certain people survived it for so long. Now obviously I expect over time this hurdle will be challenged as to why it happened, but that never is the main focus of this season, but rather reviving people is at the present moment. It's completely fictional, but the idea of keeping your mind active during these thousands of years of sleep is pretty damn amusing. Senku counted the days while Taiju's love for his crush kept him going. It's cheesy as hell, but it helps to keep that charm fresh in your mind. That this isn't a real world, it's Dr. Stone's world, so don't ruin anime for no reason other than to be bitter as you get mad as a man counted for thousands of years to stay awake. Yet they do explain just enough how this stone body functions, where if the correct combination of liquids is applied, it will reverse the petrification and any damage done to the body shall be fixed. They never go past this explanation, at least at this point, which I'm quite thankful for, as I don't need any more details than that. All you need to do is explain how certain characters kept their minds active and how do they reverse the stone. They did exactly that without getting too technical, meaning we can accept this is a fictional plot-centered area that makes sense in the context of Dr. Stone's world, and we shouldn't think about it past that context. But even though that area realistically couldn't happen to us, the way Senku rebuilds modern day technology can happen, and that's where the finer details really come out to play. I can't express how thrilled I was every time the team made something new, whether it be simple stone tools and ropes to let basic survival be possible, to the insane leaps of bringing the glow of electricity to the Stone Age. Every milestone, it felt earned, as if the characters struggled to get there, and it made sense on how they got there. But most importantly, felt as if we were the caveman having never seen the wonders of modern technology, led by someone who made it all work while explaining what the hell he was doing. One of the best twists in this series is when it's discovered that not only are some of the frozen people from the past now walking around, but there was some born into this new world. Meaning there had to have been people before Senku woke up who got down and dirty to restart civilization. So, for myself, this revelation is where the great Dr. Stone anime became fantastic, and I knew it wouldn't ever drop from this height. Because now, not only would we see technological feats be crafted and characters from the past could relive their favorite pastimes like, well, drinking a cool can of cola, but those who have never witnessed modern tech would be blown away or running in fear calling it sorcery. The battle is simply rebuilding Earth back up with technological feats while striving to revive your fellow people, all while fearing for your life as one of your test subjects seeks to murder you, is pretty fantastic itself. But the added layer of having to convince cave people that you aren't a magic wizard, as you need their support to protect yourself and goal, to have a fighting chance against your main foe Tsukasa, a man of pure brute strength, is the equivalent of thinking you ate all the cake, and then remembering it actually came with a free slice as an added bonus. It's the series that just keeps on giving is what I'm saying, and even if I'm ready to explode, I'll keep eating another slice, damn it. Without a doubt, the progression to make the sulfa drug is the best part of this first season for myself, though I will say, what comes slightly after is a very, very close second. Mainly because it was the hardest invention to create, as unlike with many tools and objectives, once the steps were met, we had our next invention be a gunpowder to a sextant. But basic medicine, aka the cure-all drug, should take some time to craft, as I assume there would be a lot of steps in order to create it, and boy were there ever. These are the kind of moments that let Dr. Stone flex its writing capabilities. The journey to craft this drug for a sickly village priestess is heart-pounding, as there are so many minerals needed, objects that you must craft, threats that you must overcome, all for the slight chance that this girl has a basic enough illness that this pill will save her life, else you will be viewed as the wizard who poisoned the most important person in the village, and that village already heavily dislikes you. Along the way of crafting this drug, we get to see feats that will make our jaw fall to the floor, all in the process, which is a pretty spectacular feeling. Like with Taiju, I assumed many of these characters would be their personality gimmick, and that would be that. But everyone actually ended up impressing me in some way, even if just a little. Whether it be the brute force that is Kohaku, who I assumed would be the tough girl with a slight sweet spot, but would still end up clobbering you. But what I found was her desire to keep her sister alive to be quite endearing. This is a time period where modern medicine doesn't exist, and her sickly sister needs anything to keep her body going, even if just for another day. So to see her carrying hot spring water day after day to keep her warm and alive really explained why she is so determined to accept help from anyone, especially those that appear magical, as she herself needs a miracle. In terms of pure determination, I'd actually argue she rivals Senku at times with how far she goes to keep her dear sister safe and away from manipulative hands. Chrome was this sorcerer who thought science was, well, magic, but quickly under Senku's guidance, he became a really lovable character who actually ended up being Senku's right-hand man quite quickly. I really love how he wanted to learn anything and everything from Senku and refuses to ever be his replacement, as it forces Senku to always make it back alive, rather than accepting that this brilliant and curious mind could replace him should he fall one day. He never stayed as just this funny sorcerer, rather he quickly became a scientist's apprentice with a heart of gold, who rather than simply getting jealous that he wasn't the most mysterious man of the village anymore like at the start of his introduction, he always needed to learn from his master. Gen, the master manipulator, who I thought would really just stay shady as hell, but was surprised by the direction that his character took, I might even say the most. I expected to enjoy him as he was just a wild card, and who doesn't love that? But for someone that starts off on one side and switches to the other after seeing what this mind can do, I really appreciate that even when you thought you knew what was on his mind, you usually were mistaken at least a little bit. Rather than just being this beacon of morality, he was the man that followed the cola, and I respected that. As if someone offered me coffee in the Stone Age, I'd probably die for them. And while I'm not going to touch on every single character, I do want it to be stressed that literally every focal character meant something and I enjoyed them at least a tad. Such as Kinro and Ginro. They weren't just gimmicks, they actually had depth to themselves, and the balance of comedy and loyalty they radiated was a charming addition and at times maybe frightening with their reactions. Suika wasn't just this melon head for laughs. Now granted, she did do that, but she also was this really sweet girl just looking to fit in. And when you see what Senku does for her life, it's enough to make even an ice-cold hearted bastard like myself actually feel something. To me, that's why I was as hooked as I ended up with Dr. Stone. The characters were great across the board. I mean, yeah, it's fun to have a character like Tsukasa wanting to keep adults away from the new world because, well, look what they originally did to Earth way back in the day, why go back to that? But it's as if all the perspectives felt as if they were genuine human emotions with varying ideals and beliefs. Why people stand up to outside forces or why they let them in with open arms. I feel as if many authors, when writing a tale of reviving humanity, would keep the focus either on the technological side of things or the humanity. A balancing of the two isn't as easy as most would think, since you would need to give the time to explain how things are happening without letting it become a History Channel special on how it's made, while also incorporating the personalities to these creations and stories that come afterwards. The creation of the tech almost ended up as being a set piece for the characters to interact with, which in result made for the show balancing the two in a pretty fair manner. Though I have to say, if the comedy wasn't a huge area of Dr. Stone's foundation, I doubt it would have hooked as many as it did, or at least it went for myself. We all love the characters and progression the world takes, but those faces make it all worth it. Remove the humor and it'd be like looking at Starry Night without the color. That just isn't right. The ability to bounce between mad scientist to caring friend is something that only a medium such as anime or even manga can nail. No way could a live-action format present this and have it not feel alien, but seeing the variety of reactions ranging from mockery, flattery, awe, and what the hell is this, kept even the most mundane scenes generally entertaining. Anime faces tend to get slapped on to the wrong scene, like, hey, here's a character, death, let's make a dumb face to ease the tension. No, don't do that. But here, where characters might be worried at, say, hey, who should marry this girl a bunch of boys like, but clearly one is more mutual loving than the other, it's fun to have a creepy face pop up as someone realizes, hey, even I could marry her should I win this fight. Imagining Dr. Stone lessening the amount of humor would feel like a biblical sin. Dr. Stone needs these silly moments to recover from intense scenes, but at the right moment, such as, hey, you almost died, so get your ass back up as I pack your wounds and see you at 9 AM sharp. Dr. Stone is just a mix and match of brilliant ideas that results in one word describing it: fun. It never relies on just being a so fun it doesn't need solid writing series, but rather every area surrounding it is amusing for the average viewer. It has comedy, it has mature moments that at times are even tear-jerking. The technological progression is well explained and thought out, that it alone could hold an episode together. The humor leaves you rolling on the floor at multiple points, but most importantly, every single character is memorable. Even this guy. See him? He's a dick, but I'll admit once a certain arc concludes, I felt as if he started acting less as a mad lunatic and more of a proud warrior. Still a dick at times, but not as punch-worthy. When backstory plays out, you sit your ass down and shut up as you watch emotional trains run us over, and we beg for more. When action is on screen, it's surprisingly well animated and feels brutal at multiple moments, as if, yeah, these really are characters born into a world of survival of the fittest. When the daily lives of Stone Age inventors takes place, we bask in the unique style of storytelling that other anime can't compete with, as we learn how it's made in a very entertaining manner. And when something funny pops up, be it a reaction or a simple line of dialogue, we at the very least let out a chuckle. I simply appreciate a unique idea that not only sets the bar for settings in a medium that I adore so much, but also incorporates the best of said medium in new and at times familiar ways. Unlike most projects that rely on past works doing their homework for them by relying on tropes and not doing anything more than just adding them into their story, Dr. Stone incorporates personality traits or comedic direction by expanding it in this unique future of Earth that has been reverted back to the Stone Age, and now it's up to Senku to use his brilliant mind to remake what was lost, fighting against humans and time itself as he races to reach space once again, and that's badass, but also inspiring as hell. Now for anyone who has any thoughts on Dr. Stone or this video, be sure to let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, be it a favorite character or moment, anything and everything relating to this wonderful series. Also remember to leave a like if you did enjoy, and be sure to subscribe if you happen to be new around here. But lastly, there's always my Patreon for those who want to go the extra mile and help support what I do around here even more, but of course, that is if you so wish. So until next time everyone, please take care and have a good one.